Sweet Afro music, yes. This is the Culture National from me there with your next wins. I mean, I tell you, say, this from my left until now, I don't rest good yet. Peer things are going. Jamaica, busy. Jamaica really busy. There's not a dull day, man, in Jamaica, not anymore. Yes, so I yell up. Some youth we just meet in a Montego Bay this weekend, yeah. Me and them I play upon a set there. I don't remember the set name, but me I tell you, I go among some youth and every one of them have a cup in them hand. Me can't stop thinking about it. Every youth have a cup in them hand. And me I tell you, a peer rum. Yeah, man. By midnight, all of them drunk. Me I tell you. This is something, this is a phenomenon in Jamaica now where every youth have to walk up and down with a cup. Me I drive behind a truck a while ago. I come down. Pan the not South Highway there. The Mandela Highway. And some youth in the back of a truck. A cup them have in them hand. This rum thing rum people them are beard nowadays. G and him nephew. Jerry and him nephew them and them have had a rum, you know, but the thing gone now. The thing gone because what we are saying now is that the youth, them, even in the political arena, the way things say, the youth, them would have tried change up the thing and make the thing better. But the thing now get better, man. No, man. I mean, I take no blame for that neither, you know. Because I can't tell me to the youth, them, I don't know. I never teach no youth to do them something there. You understand? You know, them are dancing at the dance hall, where them are wear, or where them not wearing. It's amazing. It's amazing to see the girls, them, not wearing anything. I don't know. It get away, but, you know, every generation blame the generation before them. I really not blame the generation before me still. And I would have hoped that my children, them don't come blame me. Because so far, so good. I don't know about film pick me. If them film pick me, I go blame them. But some things are going on, you know, amongst the youth them where nobody can tell me about them and feel nothing because me not responsible for them something there. Little youth are cut off all other youth penis. What is that all about, man? Them all a 15-year-old youth that go the other day and them say them want him for other trouble when they go on with from a longer time. And the crisis go on and on and on and on and on. But you can't see a whole heap of them thing there. It's a family structure breakdown. And the family structure is that the family nowadays is not like how family used to stay. Family nowadays is like my daughter, child. So my daughter, child, have a child, and my daughter is now a grandmother. And can you believe it now? I am now a great-grandfather. That is how the thing I work out. So when I did the thing say, it stop on my daughter and her picnic. No, my daughter, the possibility of she being a grandmother is soon coming. And there's many little daughters like that out there will become grandmothers before them time. Therefore, if they become grandmothers before them time, therefore the mother, the mother of them child of their, the daughter of their mother is now a mother herself. And it becomes very strange that children are having children, and then now you see a breakdown in the family structure. No breakdown in the family structure if children having children. And right now in Jamaica, children have children because when we see some woman and them say them have grand picnic. And me I say, you have grand picnic? I mean, so much old is, them I say them have 40 and all them something. I say, right, 40 you have grand picnic. That means say, you could have started a picnic, even if you have picnic at 20, your picnic now come have picnic. So you have grand picnic, It get away. It get away when you see grandmothers I got dance. And first time when you see grandmother, I got dance. It's only a fool dance, man. You know, and everybody I say, yes, granny, yes, granny. Nobody knows that again. Granny jump up on all box. Granny jump up on all box and cock out her 2 legs, one in the north, south, one in the north of the highway, one in the south of the highway. And man just stand up in her kitchen and jump on her. A granny that up on the ground, you know. First time I want to be granny that. See, because you don't look on her and feel she's too young for be granny, but it's a granny. It's a grandmother that lay down on the ground and wait for a man come drunk between her what's. First time granny is a laughing stock at dance. When you see a granny at dance, you say, Granny, how you do you? So granny say, hey, you think say a young girl and you can't dance like me? And she starts to dance and everybody stop and look on her and I laugh. And I say, hey, Granny. That not there again. Granny a dance. Granny is the center of attraction still. But the dance that she's doing cannot be accepted as a dance. That is not dance again. That is not dance again. I am not taking no blame. I'm not taking no blame. But is we feel the youth them. I don't feel no youth. Because it's youth now have youth. And if youth have youth, them can't do what I did do as it relates to children. Because the system and the society is set up a different way now. For mix and confuse everything. And the guys, they must sit down. The hierarchy of middle class white men who sit down and control the place. Them decide what you must do or what you mustn't do. When you must do it, how you must do it, and where you must do it. These men sit down with them so-called millennials and plan out strategies how to control your mind. By any means necessary. You hear Facebook. Facebook has finally said, legitimately, Facebook has finally admitted that they are listening to your conversations. Not everybody conversation, because them choose who them want to listen to. And read what you write. And all the while we have been saying these things. We have been saying these things that the television is watching you. Your smart television, you have smart TV, you know, where you think you turn it off and it don't turn off. And sometimes you have to unplug it fully. When you're in a plane, you know, them to put your plane on what them call it? Anyway, them have a thing where you put your plane on no airplane mode. That's it, don't give off radiations. That is why them tell you to put it on airplane mode, them don't want to give off radiation. If you have your phone in your house and it don't lock off and battery in night or it plug in, them can know what you're saying and what you're doing and what you're writing on WhatsApp, WearUp, Instagram and all these things. The whole of this week, them lock off me Instagram. The whole of this week. Me they call Brian and say, Brian, them lock off me Instagram, you know. What happened? All of a sudden, I mention say, me post something. And I say, what? And I say, you mean some Instagram gone, no, all right, me now get to post nothing else again. I told them Instagram come back, you know, with some blackout. blackout, like love things blackout. So, what I say is that if them know where you post when you post it, them have the power to listen to you and write and know what are the main internet network is now admitting, Facebook is now admitting that they have the power to listen to your conversation and read what you write. So you see all of them little happy, gay people things. When I say gay, I don't mean in terms of homosexuality, I talk about happy, hype up. When you put something there, so it no left it. It no left it, you know. For all 100 years' time, people are looking at you, do the food madness what you do. And we know a whole heap of ones, sorry say, them that start out a certain way, even certain artists now lament that boy, when them used to do them time there, and children was young and foolish. We say Al Buju just make a tune the other day talk about it. When them did young and this and that and all them where them do stupid things. We say Al Bounty Killer. Sit down in that studio and talk about it. Say if we him know him did know then he wouldn't call himself Bounty Killer. We say ladies saw come and repent and God and Jesus. And we say, boy, right now, a long time we have talked to her now. We do the longest interview with Lady Saw in the studio here. 4 hours me have Lady Saw up on the cutting edge. And this and that, and take her after about 15 to 20 odd years after. She just change up. And now you have another one I know named Spice now where say she take over from Lady Saw and God and the Spice, and then you have all the little sister them where you feel say they make a difference in the music industry by bringing some sanity to it. All you can hear them every day is this and that, and who have seasoned mouth and some terrible things these young ladies talking and dealing with. And these are the ones now who control the thing. Them control it. You have some youth in America sit down in some high-rise building and sit down and decide where you must listen to, where you must wear, how you must look. I mean, I talk about no whole man, no, I talk about 30 to like 45. These so-called young people who we hear say are old people mash up the place at time we know. Look on what is going on now. Look where I go on now. Look on the music we make. Look on the kind of dance we keep. Look on the clothes we wear. The food we eat. You think our old people plan that? Old people pay you for sit down and they say, watch out, come up with something different. And that them do, them just say, all right, watch out. I'm going to give you a grant to figure out how for listening to people. Them say, all right, you we're going to do. We're going to make a television we name Smart TV or smartphone. And them just go so bam and just go in for your conversation. Your phone will ask you some things where you never answer, where you never tell them to ask you. Yeah, man, sometimes your phone you hear one little girl. The most amazing thing is really the car thing, you know, the GPS them when them having a car, you know. Me I tell you, the GPS them not easy, you know. Me I drive an American, it's like nobody can find nowhere again. First time I drive an American, me say, where we are going to go, so say, all right, we are going to go, so we just look at a little map and say, oh, go, so boom, gone. You are driving in New York, you go Canal Street, or you go Delancey Street, or you go cross the Bronx, or something. You just drive. No people who live in a them place, they can't drive. Without this little thing, each up and this woman attack to you, and this woman attack to you, and all them something. And one night, me and her daughter driving a London, and we are go somewhere, and she say, she turn on her Jeep, she say, she have GPS and she GPS. She said she not listen to it. Me say, watch her. Listen to the thing, you know, because you don't put it in the car for find no way. Because I know say if you never have it, just like our first time now, mother try remember telephone number. Now me can't remember no telephone number, me remember the name of the person. So when me looking at my phone at the name, me look for me, I remember the number. My brains can't function in number like my granny thinking. Because my granny count any money, but she can't read. Any money. You can't trick her. And then she sell you something, so know how much money she will give you back, how much change you forget, and she divide that. If you buy 3 things, you get that how much £4 a yam, this and that, you multiply that, boom, boom. By the time you're ready, check, she don't tell you, say, and this it come up to, you know, how much money you have, 5 shillings, all right, you forget about this change. But she can't read. Now, me I tell you, say, most of the people, them, you know, them can't read and them can't check. Because if they don't have the computer in front of them, it's salt. So the thing get away now because, as me I say, one, there was a time when a whole heap of sisters was not in the music business in Jamaica, and everybody ball out and said this is a male-dominated business and male-dominated this and male. I will hope and wish, say, well, you'll have some more women in the music business. Now we see a whole heap of women in the music business, but guess what? I don't see the music business get no better because women in there. I say women do some things now and show off some little things and be some little way and them no care. They must have for them life. And them kind of little stubborn talk there. Stubborn talk. Just like come used to hear what she name there. Lady Sa. Lady Sa say, I fear life. She live it how she want to live it. Well, nobody now tell enough to live it how you want to live it. But the consequences of living a certain way, down the line, it's going to bother you. And you're not going to show say it bother you, you know. Your conscience going to bother you, know, but you're not going to show it because of pride. So when you come out of the millennial number, age, and you're reaching another age, you know, past all the 50 mark, now you say, you mean say, I really used to do them things there? And you hide everything from your picnic. Yes, you know why your picnic knows say you used to do that, and you know why your picnic knows say you do that. But guess what? You can't tell them nothing. Because a man I say, oh, I live my whole life, you know, me no business. You live all your life and me live all my life. Me no business what you want to say. That's all them I say. Me no business what you want to say. Them say experience teacheth wisdom, you know. And it's true your experience things only a fool learn from his own experience. Only a fool learn from his own experience. I tell you, say fire hot, and you go out and say, leave me alone, make it burn me. And you push out and burn out your hand to right it. Because I didn't know say fire hot already, because I don't get burned from it. So if me tell you say fire hot, you know, and you know why I accept it. Push on in it, since you want to experience it. So, the reason why I'm here to that is to say this, that I see some things are going on amongst the youth them nowadays, you know, that I say, it weird, man. And you can't talk to them, you can't tell them nothing. Them, first of all, they must start to say, Muta, yeah, old man, you know, that's the first thing. Because the first thing Brian make me know inside, that's me a dinosaur, you know. I may just say, yeah, me a dinosaur. But guess what? You see the things that you had to know? Watch when your picnic come up and you start to tell him certain things and see if he's going to listen to you. Because I know say my picnic they have to listen to me. Yeah, my picnic they have to listen to me. But it's a different thing now from a man past 20 now and you're nothing from a man over 50. From a man past 20, I said 20. From a man past 17. Him no want to hear nothing from nobody over 50. That him a talk about no, I said, no sir, 50, no sir, I'm the old man that. I mean, I don't know where a 20-year-old can do what me can do. I don't know what him can do that I cannot do. That more I like find out. What can a 20-year-old do that I cannot do? This is the cutting edge on IRFM. We're there with you, you know. We're there with you. Yes, this is the cutting edge. We want to play a little sister where we have another program. Sit down in here for 4 hours with me. Sister, come here to do some poetry upon the Diaspora Festival. And we decided to say, well, we have to bring her in the studio. She named Sonny Patterson. Here we go. Sonny Patterson.
We have not always found comfort in killers. We have not always found solace being rocked in the bosoms of those who silently pray and openly destroy. No, not always have we mistaken mimicry for mastery, or pretending for knowing, or enslavement for freedom. But across my memory marches millions, bold, regal, resilient, confident, unshackled feet stumping up spirits to guide us through this fickle material world. We like sun and moon folk, universal souls praying our prayers, singing our songs. Eshu, Ogun, Shango, Yemoja, Oshun, Obatala, Oya, Dambala, Aida, Wedora, Nkango, Olodumare, and Yame. We know all of you by name. We are people of beginnings, of culture, of strength. Not always have we given in to the empty threats and scare tactics of the powerless ones. Not always have we allowed the blood of our sons and daughters to color the streets while we're walking walking asleep, marching to the beat of death's siren song. They're still wearing their sheets with nooses in reach, showing their teeth and smiling it seems. But I hear in the breeze, in the rustle of the trees, and the dangling of the feet, they say, please don't let them ever forget. You see, not always have we suffered from amnesia. Not always have we forgotten how to conjure up spirits, ancestor wisdom, fix up a mixture, spiritual elixir, ancient traditions. We like magicians, God like vision. We are people of sight, so no, not always have we fallen for this okey doke or inhaled the hazardous smoke of the manipulators or been satisfied with crumbs from meals our hands have prepared. Hugh said life for us ain't been no crystal stair, but at least the steps are there to push us up higher, teach us how to go beyond the destroyer's disguises, look them in the eyes and be able to see. Cause what's surprising when you know the nature of a beast, and especially when they've shown the same face for centuries. So you tell me, what's the difference between two sisters in New Orleans shot point blank in the back of the head and two women bombed in their car in Baghdad? Or government-sanctioned killings in Kenya and a sister held hostage in a house in Virginia? Or poverty in Haiti, poverty in Jamaica, rape in Rwanda or rape in Somalia, a sweatshop in China or one in Guatemala, or smallpox and blankets, syphilis and Tuskegee, formaldehyde and FEMA, ethnic cleansing and Katrina. I recall within the speech Dr. King made us aware. He said injustice anywhere is injustice, and so they can spare us that drama, huh? We got the heart of them field working mamas. We carry the torch of that ancestor fire. So with every fiber that flutters in our being, with every find that comes from our seeking, with every hearing that comes from our listening, and every sight that comes from our seeing, we must be faithful, strategic, victorious, and free.
Yes, Sonia Pattison. Serious lyrics, serious words from the poet. We want to give you... Wait, you never know you're still about. We want to give you a next poem. And we've been playing this poem here for a couple of weeks now, and we get, people say, Muta, who did that poem there? I hope people think that foreigner. No, it's Jinso. Call himself the mighty Jinso. It's Jinso to the poem. And we're going to play it again and again and again because, yes, a poem.
Without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life. But with confidence, you have won before you have even started. Let me take into the halls of Timbuktu when the teachers were you and the scholars were you. We mapped out the stars, knew when the comets flew, traveling the seven seas on a rendezvous. Way before Marco Polo and his crew even knew the sky made the sea blue. Before they found out the world was not flat, we were building pyramids and practicing Mahat, using compasses and sketching out maps, walking valleys and climbing snow caps. When white guys were in caves taking naps, we were throwing dice, we were playing craps, reciting poetry and spitting out raps with a graceful bow as the audience claps. Back in the days when we praise Amen Ra, back in the days when we raised by the law, showing respect to our ma and our pa, saying good morning to elders we saw. Before Genghis Khan was taking lands, before Farrakhan was preaching Islam, As-salam, you alaykum, we were saying peace unto you, brother man. So why enslave my people and take my lands? Take my treasures, put them in Buckingham, in Vatican and Smithsonian. Told me I had no civilization when I is the king of this creation. We were going to space before they went to the moon. Living in castles with 1,000 rooms. By the river Nile waiting for a monsoon. The banks will overflow and the flowers will bloom. Harvest the crops April, May, June. Bury our pharaohs in golden tombs, and if you open this tomb, your life will end soon, like a curse from King Tut or Hatshepsut. So Come follow me, back into the past, into the pyramids where spells are cast, where the pharaoh's treasures are great and vast, hieroglyphics on the walls, forever last. I went and took up a mask. Asked master, what's my task? Hold a meditation and I hold my fast, and I hope one day to find my path. Conquer my desires, control my wrath. Jump in the Nile, take a spiritual bath. Cause my master has the eyes of the heart. See if I'm wise or just plain smart. I must be humble to develop my art. From the book of the dead, I will never depart. Know all the ways from the end to the start. Read my books, watch people's looks. Penny their motives, they could be crooks. Lurking around on the lower down, but I know they're coming cause I hear the drum sound from deep in the jungle where the tigers live, where yin and yang meet and we live positive, where yin and yang meet and we live positive, where yin and yang meet and we live up. So without confidence, you're twice defeated in the race of life, but with confidence, you have won before you have even started.
Yeah, man, may I tell you, Jinso, big poem that. This is the cutting edge on IRFM. You know that IRFM is about to unleash the 28th anniversary of the Marcus Garvey tribute right here on the grounds of IRFM. This Sunday, this Sunday, big thing, big thing. And the thing about it is that it's free. Every year it's free. Never pay $1 coming here yet. And every year we have to say the same thing. Because when I come back here before it happens. But you see this dirtiness with a whole heap of Jamaican people carry with them, where them just left trash all over the place at the time them going away. Unbelievable. And this place is a small place. But we know that when it cark in here, it cark. And you know, the ones them always put up things so people throw garbage in there, but it obviously never really make no difference to the guests them who come here. One drink something, just drop it right time foot. When you go to a road, it's amazing with all the seller them out there. I want no care how him do the thing. We are going to appeal again, you know. We are going to appeal to all the ones them who come in here to sell or who is buying. Remember how you come and see the place. Remember how you come and see the place. Because it was presented to you in a clean environment. Both outside the gate and inside. And with a hope say, the people them recognize it and really try them best. Especially the one them out a road there, government road there, where all the cane trash and the coconut, this and the, all sort of thing with up on the road where you have to clean up. It's a terrible sight. You know, so we ask the people them to just be conscious of that. Well, you know that there's a lot of artists that will be presented on the program. And one of the artists them is Lico John. I remember. Really, Lico John.
Respect Muta.
You know what I'm saying? You can't hear me?
Can I hear you good, Muta? Good.
All right. You know what I'm saying? Remember the night when you come down and say you got St. Elizabeth? Eh?
I remember when me... Eh?
You know, remember the night when you come in and say you're supposed to reach at St. Elizabeth?
Yes.
You reached at St. Elizabeth yet?
Yeah, man. At them time, I think Eddie Fitzgerald was alive, right?
Yeah, man. You say you're going to... It was a joke. It was a joke.
Yeah.
All right. So you're one of the features artists them on the show, right?
Yeah.
All right, let me ask you a question now. When you hear say they're on a Marcus Garvey show, Is them call you or how it go? How it go? Is them call you for come on it?
Well, yeah. That call me get.
Yeah, so you never wonder how come a Marcus Garvey show and you're there on it?
Well, it's always
because I remember you singing nothing about Marcus.
Those kind of shows, and I don't believe in just one kind of, because my songs them is not, people only know, some people only know Liquor John as a youth where sing some Sharon are pregnant and all over me and them songs. But remember, say, I also do songs like Got to Go Down on My Knees and Pray to Jah. I always do songs like Because Them Work Us So Hard, Cabin Him Go Abroad, Them Smoke Ganja Hard,
yes.
and many others. You understand? So I sing songs. If people can go on YouTube and play and big up Liquor John, they see which part my thing is coming from. My thing is coming from roots rock reggae.
Yes. How long now you know this thing? How long you know?
I'm in this business from 8 years of age.
That make it how much years? 90?
That make it. I'm 54 now.
Okay, a long time.
Very long time. Listen, I'm in this business when Sugar Mine at a rain, me a rain too. And I was one of the youth man promotion.
No, me remember when you get all artists of the year and all them something there.
Get all artists of the year. Me a yellow man used to run.
Yeah, man, me remember, man.
Yeah.
Me remember you get artists of the year. All right, we're going to remind the people them who are talk to me. We're going to remind the people them. People, that is Liquor John, man. Yes, Liquor John.
Yeah.
Them children is big.
Let me tell you something now in our motor. Because I feel so honored to be talking to you right now on the radio. Because here we go on now. You see, when me there in San Diego, I perform, white people I sing my song there. And I know none of them sang here. And I like all over me, Work Us So Hard, and them sang there. Them have a different list.
Yeah.
For me, the songs them that they know when me grace the stage, the white people, I sing my song them word to word. Some song like If All the Girls Should Live Across the Ocean. Some songs like Reggae Dance. You understand me?
Yeah, the one that were not popular out here.
Them songs gonna play at Jamaica.
Yeah, that me I say. Well, I find the most artists surprised when them go foreign and hear the song them.
Them have a list. Because you go see my list, I'm a figure one list. It's a Work Us So Hard, a true confession list. Sharon are pregnant, are some songs. It's a different list them provide.
Yeah, everywhere.
You understand me?
Yeah. And if you go in Africa, you're going to hear them play a different kind of song.
A different kind of song. That's because, let me tell you something now. I was one of the singers with Barry G. Tell him, say, please don't put out no more song with Liquor John, because song is killing song. You understand? In the 80s.
Yeah.
You understand me? So at the end of the day, me come with a style when them sing J, which is the whole Jamaica don't realize it. When me come with a style, and when me come with a style, them say I come for mash up music business. And me tell them, say, me have to come with something. We come with the sing J style, and right now I eat all of the man, them, from the Movado, from the whole of them, I might something them in. I mean, never go on the radio yet, but tell people, say, well, then, very some man them sing, lift it up, jack it up, pull it up, and my something them I sing.
Yeah. Well,
you understand?
Well, you know, the man say, I profit is Lord, and I in my own country, and sometimes you do something, and people come now and do it, and through them get bigger and popular than you.
Yes.
People feel that them originated.
But me always tell people this in a motor.
Yeah.
Say, listen, me believe in sowing, you know. But anybody, anybody want to reap. You understand? But me believe in sowing. But the only thing we want the people to know, say, go certain artists go up on the media and tell people, say, well, then I used to sing Liquor John's song when I was at cabaret. I sing at some hotel, at some place on the North Coast. And I just tell them, say, I'll be a Liquor John, and I sing for night.
Yeah.
You understand? While some people does not do that, because me, I don't, right now, between me and Motor, It's a joy if they attack you because I can't get to express myself.
So let me ask you something. You still a tour, though? You still a tour?
But people can't stop. They're one of the artists where ever dip on the road.
Your advantage mileage enough.
Yes, ever dip on the road. They're one of the only youth where in the hype. I'm well alright coming in the hype.
Of course. Yeah, man, I'm glad to hear that because I see the eye out the road still, even though the eye not see eye, but I see the eye still.
Yeah, man, because let me tell you something, Muta is a man of respect to the very grown where you walk from. Because we come on one dance, one night, you on a sugar mine at place there.
Yeah.
And you draw some one away little John, and I say, no, Muta, have it locked it up.
Me remember the night, man. A store got sound system there on there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You understand? So at the end of the day, my brother, me that youth with us, a humble youth, and me just know say them a do the shows them in Jamaica, and me not ask them for none. And if them do call me when them ready for a show, they have to do it. But me not call no show people for none.
Me understand.
When me do a show,
I tell you, I know, you see when they come out.
We go do a show because we make more money more than where them think. You understand me? Because once you see me going a foreign, if we can't go in a foreign, we don't have a problem. I make my food up on my table.
Yeah.
You understand?
But it's when I come out Sunday. It's when I come out Sunday and I draw some of them tunes. You're going to see the reaction because the people are going to say, who name Lico John? It's when them hear the tune. They say, I name Lico John? Wicked. I say, go ahead. Because you hear them call up out the place. Them know the tune.
Listen, I never go nowhere yet in the world I have a flap show. But the pan shows in America with people and the youth them say, the local youth them say the only person them want to come lecture to them and liquor jam and one per artist there. Understand? I remember them have some community radio and the whole world.
Yeah.
Only for that day in America. You understand? Because at the end of the day, me have some song. Remember, you know, me do song like Give the Youth a Try Now.
Yeah.
Give the youth man a try now. Just go on YouTube I'm putting Give the Youth a Try Now. Listen, I have some song with my voice. I have some song with my voice fine like a girl, you know. Some song like Wait Till I Put on my robe, you know. When I do when I 8 years of it, I do the first time my voice going on song, it's straight away. Me Sugar Miner. And I used to name Captain Simbad. And me have the look of voice. In night I say, how do you Simbad body? 51 star, me never born.
Yeah. Who did I record with first? Who first did I record with?
Sugar Miner is the first person. One of King Tubbies. Sugar Miner is the first person that ever blessed my song from a track. Then we go to when you roots tradition. That time I could my voice sound like a girl. A long time I eat from my voice fine like till when my voice mature. Yeah. Song with name you string a sound in the land for Henry John Jallard.
Yeah.
And then after that we go to Channel 1 we do a song when you record them work so hard for Jojo. And Jojo was selling the song on their plate and said, people, everybody come buy the song on their plate. We go and find Lico John. And I met in the studio and so just said, you are John. So that we didn't know where I lay. Sing something on it. And when they sing something on it, I work so hard, come out of my mouth.
Yeah.
And from me sing work so hard, everything just blew up for me.
And they started some covers, True Confession and all them tune, the big tune them.
And them tune there.
Yeah, big tune them.
Because me hardly do covers. Because most of my songs them come out of me.
Yeah.
Most of my song them it come out of me. I sing all the songs them all who gone already.
Yeah. Remember that. I'm going to play that cover where they do with it big. Because that cover is big in them time. Yeah, Weatherman had Clark's booty and diamond socks.
Listen, I want to greatest it's that now. A lot of people don't know.
Clark's booty.
But the Clark's people them have to so them have to find me, you know. Yeah. You understand? They collect the most royalties after that song, you know. I
will people believe say a Vibes Cartel come about the Clark's booty.
Vibes Cartel sing over me thing, man. Sing over me thing. You understand me? Because at the end of the day, I will promise song them must sing up and I remix the thing them in some way. But do a song when your mother from me, some man I say, give me back the shit. Like the man come to me, me do mother pinna. I want song when me snow them used to say, give me back the shilling with the lion funny. Lion funny, and me just come back and me just come as I used to full of spirit and know some me I sing with the people from way back when. And say, nobody give me that, they got it at him, modo. You understand? And mash up the world again. You understand? So at the end of the day, when we come with some things, we can't apply everything we keep in the motor. What's been about to promote the people them? Because at the end of the day, we can't eat a finger banana and go my bed. You understand? Because at the end of the day, we know, say, them have to find me if they want me. If they don't want me, them not have to find me.
Yeah. All right, well, we look forward to see this Sunday.
I'm not dead man.
No, I know you're not dead man.
And come feed the people right in the courtyard.
Yes.
You understand?
Marcus Garvey tribute.
The Marcus Garvey thing, you know, and me's a lover of Marcus, you know, because the man they try to show black people say, you have to understand yourself, and up till now they don't understand it.
Yeah.
So, we can't narrate a great man like that. I hear Marcus Garvey thing and me not dead. They have to do it.
All right, give thanks, brethren. Give thanks.
Nice talking to you, Muta.
Yeah, man.
And keep yourself together same way, because I always like your spirit.
Yeah, Irie. Yeah.
Teach the people out there.
Yeah.
And them still, they are the next, they are the Marcus Garvey in flesh, you know, they don't realize.
All right, we have to move, though. We have to move.
All right, take care of yourself.
Yeah, we have to move. This is the Cutting Edge. Yeah, this is the Cutting Edge on RFM. Okay, here we go. Pat Clark.
Welcome to Jamaican Roots and Culture. I'm Pat Clark. This week we're commemorating the birth of Jamaica's first national hero, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. It's therefore fitting to pause and reflect on the life and work of this great man.
Talking about Marcus Garvey, Marcus Mosiah Garvey.
Born in St. Anne's Bay, Jamaica, on August 17, 1887, Marcus Garvey was the youngest of 11 children. Garvey moved to Kingston at the age of 14, found work in a print shop, and became acquainted with the abysmal living conditions of the laboring class. He quickly involved himself in social reform, participating in the first Printers' Union strike in Jamaica in 1907 and in setting up the newspaper, The Watchman. Leaving the island to earn money to finance his projects, he visited Central and South America, amassing evidence that black people everywhere were victims of discrimination. He visited the Panama Canal Zone and saw the conditions under which the West Indians lived and worked. He went to Ecuador, Nicaragua, Honduras, Colombia, and Venezuela. Everywhere, blacks were experiencing great hardships. Garvey returned to Jamaica, distressed at the situation in Central America, and appealed to Jamaica's colonial government to help improve the plight of West Indian workers in Central America. His appeal fell on deaf ears. Garvey also began to lay the groundwork of the Universal Negro Improvement Association, to which he was to devote his life. Undaunted by the lack of enthusiasm for his plans, Garvey left for England in 1912 in search of additional financial backing. While there, he worked on a publication called The African Times and began to study the history of Africa, particularly the exploitation of by colonial powers. In 1914, Garvey organized the Universal Negro Improvement Association and its coordinating body, the African Communities League. In 1920, the organization held its first convention in New York. The convention opened with a parade down Harlem's Lenox Avenue. That evening, before a crowd of 25,000, Garvey outlined his plan to build an African nation state. In New York City, his ideas attracted popular support and thousands enrolled in the UNIA. Garvey began publishing the newspaper The Negro World and toured the United States, preaching black nationalism to popular audiences. His efforts were successful, and soon the association boasted over 1,000 branches in more than 40 countries. Most of these branches were located in the United States, which had become the UNIA's base of operations. There were, however, offices in several Caribbean countries, Cuba having the most. Branches also existed in places such as Panama, Costa Rica, Ecuador, Venezuela, Ghana, Sierra Leone, Liberia, Namibia, and South Africa. Marcus Garvey also launched some ambitious business ventures, notably the Black Star Shipping Line. In the years following the organization's first convention, the UNIA began to decline in popularity. With the Black Star Line in serious financial difficulties, Garvey promoted two new business organizations, the African Communities League and the Negro Factories Corporation. He also tried to salvage his colonialization scheme by sending a delegation to appeal to the League of Nations for transfer to the UNIA of African colonies taken from Germany during World War I. Financial betrayal by trusted aides and a host of legal entanglements based on charges that he had used the U.S. mail to defraud prospective investors eventually led to Garvey's imprisonment in an Atlanta federal penitentiary for a 5-year term. In 1927, his half-served sentence was commuted and Garvey was deported to Jamaica by order of President Calvin Coolidge. Garvey then turned his energies to Jamaican politics, campaigning on a platform of self-government, minimum wage laws, and land and judicial reform. He was soundly defeated at the polls, however, because most of his followers did not have the necessary voting qualifications. In 1935, Marcus Garvey left for England, where, in near obscurity, he died on June 10, 1940, in a cottage in West Kensington. In retrospect, his life's work contributed tremendously to the development of black pride and self-confidence worldwide. In 1962, Marcus Garvey was named Jamaica's first national hero. And now, to end Jamaican roots and culture, here's our famous quotation from the Black diaspora. Up, you mighty race, you can accomplish what you will. The words of Marcus Mosiah Garvey. For Jamaican Roots and Culture, I'm Pat Clark.
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reason the nation of Africa cannot and should not join the ranks of the world's most prosperous nation.
It's not actually a country. It's a continent of 54 very different nations and more than 2,000 languages. But it's constantly misunderstood or misrepresented. Any mention these days of what was once called the Dark Continent conjures up lazy images of war, famine, corruption, or disease. Who has time to mention the 22 Nobel laureates from 9 different African countries, right? And guess where 4 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are located? Not in Europe. Yep, they're in Africa, which of course has issues with poverty and inequality. But let's not forget that 1 in 3 Africans is middle class, and the continent is one of the fastest growing markets in the world for mobile phones. And guess which one of these 2 places is in Africa? Wrong. But all this growth comes from foreign aid, right? That's where most of the money comes from, surely. From Western handouts. Nope, not true. In fact, foreign aid represents only 2% of Africa's total GDP. In 2010, Africans living outside of Africa sent more cash back to their families at home than the rest of the entire world provided to the continent in foreign aid. How about the plight of poor African women? Well, the continent has had 7 female presidents. The United States, still waiting, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, Rwanda has the highest proportion of female parliamentarians in the world, 64%. Over in the UK Parliament, it's a record 29%. But you know what? It's important that we focus only on the doom and gloom across the continent, because every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes by.
You know, say, my mind I tell me if I play over that something, yeah. Yes, because we want the people them. We want to hear it. We want to hear it. For all of you things, Africa is this backward place, and it's a continent. It's not a country, it's a continent. When I say why you don't pick an African language, it's 50 different countries with hundreds of languages. The biggest known African language in Africa is Swahili. But listen.
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reasons, and they...
Do you speak African? Well, neither do the 1.1 billion people in Africa.
There's no reasons a nation of Africa cannot and should not join the ranks of the world's most prosperous nation.
It's not actually a country. It's a continent of 54 very different nations and more than 2,000 languages. But it's constantly misunderstood or misrepresented. Any mention these days of what was once called the Dark Continent conjures up lazy images of war, famine, corruption, or disease. Who has time to mention the 22 Nobel laureates from 9 different African countries, right? And guess where 4 of the 10 fastest growing economies in the world are located? Not in Europe. Yep, they're in Africa, which of course has issues with poverty and inequality. But let's not forget that 1 in 3 Africans is middle class, and the continent is one of the fastest growing markets in the world for mobile phones. And guess which one of these 2 places is in Africa? Wrong. But all this growth comes from foreign aid, right? That's where most of the money comes from, surely. From Western handouts. Nope, not true. In fact, foreign aid represents only 2% of Africa's total GDP. In 2010, Africans living outside of Africa sent more cash back to their families at home than the rest of the entire world provided to the continent in foreign aid. How about the plight of poor African women? Well, the continent has had 7 female presidents. The United States, still waiting, I'm afraid. Meanwhile, Rwanda has the highest proportion of female parliamentarians in the world, 64%. Over in the UK Parliament, it's a record 29%. But you know what? It's important that we focus only on the doom and gloom across the continent, because every 60 seconds in Africa, a minute passes by.
I know you're trying to identify the different people on this track here. You know, Barry G, you have Barbara Gludan, Poets in Unity, I mean, yours truly, Junior Reid, I mean, you name it, Third World. Whole heap of ones come together a long time too, you know. Yeah, I think I've gone over 20 odd years now. That Junior make tribute to Garvey, Africa for Africans, those at home and those abroad. Okay, so you know, so we play certain things all the while, I have to keep playing it. And when I stop play it and play it and play it, well, tonight is no different. Since we are dealing with Marcus, I could go and deal with Marcus for a time. We want to play the album, well, it's an album actually we get. Yemi Ashud Garvey is one of them tracks where you add the ear Yemi Ashud Garvey. You know them where the people are the Ashud Garvey. I talk about Marcus Garvey. Marcus Garvey's first wife, Yemi Ashud Garvey. You know, we had a chair where Marcus Garvey used to work at where the place where make the whole heap of aisles and things. Benjamin, there down at East Street, them used to work there. We get a chair. We turn it over to the library in a down on Orange, down at King Street, the Marcus Garvey Liberty Hall. If you go down there, you see this long chair, but we have a little book. We have a little book where Marcus Garvey used to write in where them they are prison. And you know, say, me I look for the book yesterday, and yesterday I look for the book and I can't find it, you know, but me I go find it. It's a little book where Marcus Garvey used to write in when him there prison, him write a sketch of a whole heap of things tonight. And this album, we still have the album. I will go and play it. but this time we transfer it to CD, and then we transfer it to the computer, hard drive, so it preserved well now. So all the while we play it, and we're going to play it again. This is something where you hardly hear. It's like a gem. If you hear me, I should describe. And even the ceremony we keep before the meeting start and all them things there. So here we go now. Here we go.
This is a souvenir recording in memory of the Honorable Marcus Garvey, the Jamaican hero who pointed the way to African independence in his clarion call for a new day and a new and greater destiny for his people.
Ethiopia, the land of our fathers, a land where the gods love to be. A storm cloud and night sudden gathers, armies rushing to thee. We must in the fight be victorious when swords are thrust out back to bleed. For us will the victory be glorious when led by the red, black and green. Advance, advance to victory, let Africa be free. Advance to meet the foe, advance to meet the foe, with the might of the red, the black and the green, with the might of the red, the black and the green.
The body of Marcus Garvey slumbers, but his immortal spirit, like a mighty dynamo, vital, alive, ennobling, still inspires his people along the path to human dignity, racial pride, and national sovereignty, the ideals for which he fought, lived, and died.
Shine on, eternal light, to greater soul this day. Dispel the loneliness of night and drive all doubts away. A longing eyes prepared when war and strife shall cease. To view the to appear, Lord, we will fail.
That was the processional hymn. Time marches on, death rends asunder the filial bond that links the human heart. Life's drama folds and refolds, and the melody of the immortal greats and their accomplishments linger on. Listen to the spiritual self of the immortal Marcus Garvey in poetry, in song, and in music. The memory of a people is best portrayed.
O Africa, awaken, the morning is at hand. No more art thou forsaken, O bounteous motherland. Far from thy sons and daughters are hastening back to thee. Their cry rings o'er the waters that Africa shall be free. O land of tropic splendor, of bright blue skies above, to thee our best we tender. O land story. We'll drink thy cup of mirth, revive thine ancient glory, and bring the gods to earth. Oh,
Ladies and gentlemen, who was Marcus Garvey? Who was this man whom Bishop Ranson of the AME Church called the mightiest prophet of the age? Who was this man of whom the erudite James Weldon Johnson once said, he had the daring and energy of the Napoleonic personality that draws masses of followers. He stirred the imagination of the masses as no other leader ever had. In the course of time, this man, Garvey, brushed aside the Goliaths of the first independent nation in the Caribbean, and he became Jamaica's first national hero. Who was Marcus Garvey? Marcus Mosiah Garvey was a man earthbent for the eternal search of oneness with the universe. He was born at sunrise in the beautiful garden parish of St. Anne, Jamaica, West Indies, on the 17th day of August, 1887, near the falls of the roaring river, where he grew with nature and drank much of her inspiration. He was of humble birth and was the 8th child of Sarah and Marcus Mosiah Garvey Sr. Garvey was born in an atmosphere of prophecy. When his father first saw him, so close a resemblance did he bear him. He was overcome with joy, and he lifted him up in his arms and cried out, your name shall be Mosiah, and you shall someday be a Moses. There was nothing in the drab lamplit setting in which Garvey stood to speak in his native St. Anne that night in October 1914, which gave the slightest flicker of the shape of things to come. No one present, not even Garvey himself, believed that the stern-faced man standing so nervously before him in Jamaica would someday hold a star aloft and urge millions to gaze on it and follow him. Marcus Garvey set out on the lonely trail of smashing many of the preconceived ideas which made the black man inferior in his thinking, such as to believe that he was belonging to a vicious and predestined evil race, that God and the angels were white, that he, the black man, personified the devil, who was reputedly black, that he was the likeness of black magic and misfortune, the son of Ham, a hewer of wood and drawer of water, and that all the creation of the dominant white civilization, calculated to foster the concept of white supremacy, was ordained by God. Garvey was an angry man. He smote his chest and demanded to know the author of the scurrilous wicked forgery 4,000 years after Noah had gone to his grave in peace. When he spoke in Madison Square Garden, he served notice on all the nations squatting in Africa to get out before the wrath of 400 million black men, women, and children hurled them into the sea. Arising from obscurity, Garvey's never-to-be-forgotten oratory took him to the very apex of fame. Millions unquestionably followed him. Such were the conditions of his people, bowed down with inferiority complex for hundreds of years, that Garvey visibly touched to tears and compassion in the deliverance of his message, emphatically thundered, "Up, ye mighty race! You can accomplish what you will. The black man of yesterday has disappeared from the stage of human activities forever, and in his place stands a new man, erect, conscious of his manhood and rights, and fully determined to preserve himself at all costs. Marcus Garvey, in his finest hour in Liberty Hall, New York, in the 1920s, addressing the Universal Negro Improvement Association and African Communities League, said so many things applicable to the conditions of today. To read the world's history of races written by some writers gives the impression that the black man amounted to nothing in the creation. We are satisfied, however, to know that our race gave the first great civilization to the world. For centuries, our ancestral home was a seat of learning, and here black men who were fit for the gods were philosophers, scientists, artists, and men of vision and leadership. On the other hand, our traducers were groping in darkness and continental barbarism. Black men, you were once great, and you will be great again. Great men have come out of Egypt, out of Ethiopia, out of Africa, Sahara. Great men will come out of America, the West Indies, and the islands of the seas. Our history is as great as that of any race or people, and nothing on this side of heaven or hell will make us deny it, notwithstanding the false treaties, essays, speculation, and philosophies. Their arrogance is but skin deep, and an assumption that has no foundation in morals nor law. When we were embracing the sciences on the banks of the Nile, when our civilization had reached the noonday of progress, their ancestors were still running naked and sleeping in holes with bats, rats, and other animals. Garvey's messianic message to the groping millions of his race would surely bring him to Golgotha. His leadership would emancipate millions from the shackles of mental and moral servitude. It was the great gulf, it was the violent contrast between the upper and middle classes and the people of his race which made the first telling impact on the mind of the youthful Garvey. Illiteracy and grinding poverty were the two decisive factors which contributed to his impact. Like Socrates, Garvey geared himself for his cup of hemlock, like a Christ on his way to a blood-stained cross. Before his death, however, in 1940, he would have the satisfaction of knowing that a squalid century after the emancipation of 1838, the men and systems against whom he fought such a good fight had lost forever their footing on the ladder of imperial and economic power. Marcus Garvey left you a special message, my children. Let no voice but your own speak to you from the depths. Let no voice but your own rouse you in time of peace or war. Hear all, but attend only to that which concerns you. Your allegiance shall be to your God, then to your family, race, and country. Remember always that the Jew, in his political and economic urge, is always first a Jew. The Caucasian is first a Caucasian under all circumstances, and you can do no better than to be first and always a black man. Be sure to teach your children science and religion, for it lies as our only hope to withstand the evil designs of modern materialism. Lift up your hearts and repeat to yourselves the words of the African poet Terence. I am a man, and I think that nothing that is common to humanity is foreign to me. Garvey endeared himself to his thousands of listeners when he dramatized and immortalized the heroes and heroines of Afro-American history. Through the power of his oratory, Garvey showed them that Sojourner Truth and Harriet Tubman were equally deserving of a niche in the Hall of Fame as Martha Washington and Betsy Ross. They were made to feel that the muse which inspired Phyllis Wheatley was no less fine than that of Elizabeth Barrett Browning. The black poet Paul Laurence Dunbar was made to take his place with the great poets of the world. It was seen that the African General Hannibal surpassed Napoleon in military genius, and Toussaint Louverture and Antonio Maceo were worthy of comparison with George Washington and Lord Kitchener. Marcus Garvey's spellbound audiences heard that Crispus Attucks was as great as Patrick Henry, and that the Ethiopian Queen of Sheba outshone Britain's Queen Victoria in the splendor of her court. Solomon, in his wisdom, towered above Gladstone. King Menelik was more than Abe Lincoln. Never before had the descendants of the slaves been so uplifted. Marcus Garvey delivered that message, and all the world wondered. Africa for the Africans, those at home and those abroad. It was the same message delivered 4,000 years before by the Jewish patriot. Let my people go. Ladies and gentlemen, at the end of his journey, we pause to assess his work and worth. We find that Marcus Garvey has left his people in America at the crossroads of history and destiny. The now 38 independent states in Africa are the first of the fruits of them that slept, in the chronology of his prophecy. To quote his own words, "Hail, United States of Africa, hail." Also Trinidad and Tobago, Barbados, Guyana, and his own homeland, Jamaica, still on the wave of freedom. The associated states within the British Commonwealth of Nations, Grenada, Antigua and Barbuda, Montserrat, St. Kitts and Nevis, St. Vincent, St. Lucia, Dominica, Anguilla, and the British Virgin Islands, flying the flag of freedom and independence and echoing the voice of Marcus Garvey. Whatever his failings, Marcus Garvey brought fresh hope and courage to his people. Mankind has benefited because Marcus Garvey passed here. And who knows, but someday posterity will confirm him in the title of the Black Moses. Then millions of black men, women, and children will make the pilgrimage to his shrine in Jamaica, for they will have come to pray and kneel at the tomb of the father of African independence. Oh, he vowed to win his race its destiny, to lift them up from ignorance and hell. With deathless courage, fashioned victory, fighting on equal field. What if he fell? He's gone, 'tis true, but history yet will tell that Marcus Mosiah Garvey did his work, and he did it well.
Yes, that was Amy Ashford Garvey. For those of you who never heard the voice before, for those of you who don't know, she is the first wife of Marcus Garvey. Ironically, his next wife was also Amy, Amy Jakes Garvey. That road where you say on Mountain View Avenue, they saw. Yeah, name from our family. Amy Jakes Garvey, Amy Ashford, and that was Amy Ashford talking about her husband, elevating him and recognizing and claiming him also. Wonderful. This Sunday, we will be celebrating again Marcus Garvey appearance on this earth, yeah. The 17th of August. We want the people them to know, say, it is the biggest Marcus Garvey event in Jamaica. We would have hoped that the people them who make him a national hero would recognize him as such. Just like all them have the independence celebration. Marcus Garvey is deserving of such celebration. But that's the way it go. We're not going to make that deter us from recognizing the greatness. So, Sunday, Marcus Garvey Earth Day. A group of people who used to follow Marcus Garvey is the Owelites. A whole heap of people never hear the Owelites. You know, say, well, I mean, I tell you, say, after 20 years, we still have to do the same thing over and over. It's funny. It's funny. It's serious, but it's funny. After 20 years, we still have to do the same thing over and over, you know. And this is one of the things that we're going to do over now. This is the Owelites. Live Owelites, yes. Yes, that is the Owelites. Mother of creation. Yeah, man. Mother of creation. Cutting edge. You know, we're late with this, but this is 14 minutes past 12 o'clock.
It is already too late, said Mutabaruka sadly. Our own men and our sons have joined the ranks of the stranger. They have joined his religion, and they help to uphold his government. If we should try to drive out the white men in Umuofia, we should find it easy. There are only 2 of them. But what of our own people who are following their way and have been given power? They would go to Umuru and bring the soldiers, and we would be like Abame. He paused for a long time and then said, I told you on my last visit to Mbanta how they hanged Aneto. What has happened to that piece of land in dispute? Asked Okonkwo. The white man's court has decided that it should belong to Nama's family, who had given much money to the white man's messengers and interpreter. Does the white man understand our custom about land? How can he, when he does not even speak our tongue? But he says that our customs are bad, and our own brothers who have taken up his religion also say that our customs are bad. How do you think we can fight when our own brothers have turned against us? The white man is very clever. He came peaceably and quietly with his religion. We were amused at his foolishness and allowed him to stay. Now he has won our brothers, and our clan can no longer act like one. He has put a knife on the things that held us together, and we have fallen apart.
Yes, Marcus Mosiah Garvey. We're there with you. We're there with you. Okay, here we go. You know, so me meet a little sister the other night up at DJ Snow birthday thing. She named Rose from Togo. And when I said Togo, I don't mean that she come from Togo. She's a Jamaican who used to live in a Togo. A real rebel girl. We want to heal up Rose, you know. You think we forget you, we don't forget you. We want to heal up the rebel girl, Rose, who used to live in a Togo, who used to live in a France, who used to live all about the place. And therefore, with a Jamaica, yeah. We are playing this song of her, you know. Believe you me, because she into her African thing. She into her African thing. Trust me. Here we go again. Yeah, man, the music that wake up all the dead, man. May I tell you. Sweet music from Senegal, that's West Africa. If you want to know, them talk French there and English and them own a language, man, lingo. But there's a man by the name of Shekante Diop. Shekante Diop, one of the greatest scholars out of Africa, who proved to the world that the Egyptians and the pharaohs were black people. Yes, we talk about testing, going at the pyramid, them go test that. Prove that them was black people. Shekante Diop. And then you have Amadou Bamba, Sheikh Amadou Bamba, one of the spiritual head of the Bafals in Senegal. Yeah, man. Okay, here we go. Let's see if we can get it right here.
We're not unique in its sins as a country. We're not unique in our evils, to be honest with you. I think where we may be singular is our refusal to acknowledge them. And the legends and myths we tell about our inherent, goodness to hide and cover and conceal so that we can maintain a kind of willful ignorance that protects our innocence. See, the thing is that when the Tea Party was happening, we were saying, pundits, oh, it's just about economic populism. It's not about race. When people knew, social scientists were already writing that what was driving the Tea Party were anxieties about demographic shifts, that the country was changing, that they were seeing these racially ambiguous babies on Cheerios commercials, that the country wasn't quite feeling like it was a white nation anymore. And people were screaming from the top of their lungs, yo, this is not just simply economic populism. This is the ugly underbelly of the country. See, the thing is this, and I'll say this and I'll take the hit on it. There are communities that have had to bear the brunt of America confronting, white Americans confronting the danger of their innocence. And it happens every generation. So somehow we have to kind of, oh my God, is this who we are? And just again, here's another generation of babies. Think about it, that 2-year-old had his bones broken by 2 parents trying to shield him from being killed. A woman who has been married to this man for as long as I've been on the planet almost, lost her husband. For what? And so what we know is that the country's been playing politics for a long time on this hatred. We know this. So it's easy for us to place it all on Donald Trump's shoulders. It's easy for us to place Pittsburgh on his shoulders. It's easy for me to place Charlottesville on his shoulders. It's easy for us to place El Paso on his shoulders. This is us. And if we're going to get past this, we can't blame it on him. He's a manifestation of the ugliness that's in us. I've had the privilege of growing up in a tradition that didn't believe in the myths and the legends because we had to bear the brunt of them. Either we're going to change, Nicole, or we're going to do this again and again, and babies are going to have to grow up without mothers and fathers, uncles and aunts, friends, while we're trying to convince white folk to finally leave behind a history that will maybe, or embrace a history that might set them free from being white. Finally.
What else?
Lord help us.
Yeah, man. May I tell you, the man you blow. Hey, Hugh Masekela was exiled outside of South Africa, just like Miriam Makeba and many others during the apartheid times. And up to about 3 years before or 4 years before Nelson Mandela died, he was seen as a terrorist by America in the books. The ANC was seen as a terrorist organization. Never come out of the book. I don't even know if them still come out of the books. Yes, ANC was seen as a terrorist organization. Can you imagine that? Man coming to your land, take away your land, enslave the people, them and all them something there. Disenfranchise them and all these things. And you just become a terrorist because you fight back. Because you're fighting back, you are a terrorist. May I tell you, man, we'll continue the journey.
Hello, I'm Jared Taylor with American Renaissance. Most people think that the United States was, from the very beginning, dedicated to the idea of racial equality. Yes, they say there was slavery and segregation, but we were always working to fulfill the promise of all men are created equal. Of course, Thomas Jefferson, who wrote those words, was a slaveholder who didn't think the races were equal at all. But that phrase from the Declaration of Independence will haunt his memory forever. Not many people know that in 1776, there were black slaves in all 13 colonies and in the entire New World, from Canada to the tip of South America. In 1770, 40% of the white households in Manhattan owned slaves, and there were more slaves in the colony of New York than in Georgia. 9 of the first 11 presidents were slaveholders. The 2 exceptions were John Adams and John Quincy Adams. Jefferson thought slavery was a bad thing and that slaves would eventually be freed, but he wanted freed slaves sent back to Africa. There's a quotation from him on the wall of the Jefferson Memorial that goes like this: "Nothing is more certainly written in the book of fate then that these people are to be free. Well, in the original, Jefferson didn't stop there, adding, nor is it less certain that the two races equally free cannot live in the same government. That part has been conveniently forgotten. He wanted blacks deported and separated from whites so that they would be, and I quote, beyond the reach of mixture. James Madison agreed. He wanted the U.S. government to buy up every slave and deport them. After he served as president, he ran the American Colonization Society, which was set up to send blacks back to Africa. At the inaugural meeting of the society, Henry Clay explained its purpose, quote, to rid our country of a useless and pernicious, if not dangerous, portion of the population. Some of the most famous early Americans were not just members of the Colonization Society, they were officers. Besides Madison, there were Andrew Jackson, Daniel Webster, Stephen Douglas, William Seward, Francis Scott Key, Winfield Scott, and John Marshall. James Monroe worked so hard to help freed American slaves leave the country and establish Liberia that grateful Liberians named their capital Monrovia in his memory. The founders wanted blacks out and whites in. After the U.S. Constitution was ratified, the very first United States Congress had to decide who could be an American. They passed a law that said only, quote, free white persons could be citizens of the new country. Blacks couldn't be citizens even if they had been living in the colonies for generations. It took an amendment to the Constitution in 1868 for blacks to become citizens. And American Indians didn't finally become U.S. citizens until 1924. From colonial times on, there was strong opposition to mixed-race marriage. Massachusetts prohibited miscegenation from 1705 to 1843 and repealed the ban only because people thought it wasn't needed. They thought the idea of mixing was so repellent that no one would do it even if it were legal. Of the 50 United States, 44 at one time had laws prohibiting interracial marriage. White people did not want blacks to vote. In 1855, there were 31 states in the Union, but blacks could vote only in 4. All of them were in New England. And together they had only 4% of the total black population of the country. The federal government made sure that blacks couldn't vote in the territories. When Oregon joined the Union in 1859, its constitution stated that no black person could come live in or even visit the state. But Abraham Lincoln, the great emancipator, didn't he believe in racial equality? No. During the Lincoln-Douglas debates, he said this, I am not.
Here we go again.
Nor ever have been in favor of making voters or jurors out of Negroes, nor of qualifying them to hold office, nor to intermarry with white people. There is a physical difference between the white and black races which I believe will forever forbid the two races living together on terms of social and political equality. Lincoln agreed with Jefferson. He wanted to free the slaves and then deport them. In 1862, Lincoln had the Civil War on his hands, but he was so worried about what to do with free blacks that he named a commissioner on immigration and sent him off to look for countries that would take in the blacks he wanted to be rid of. He also sent a message to Congress calling for free blacks to be deported. U.S. presidents usually say only bland, non-controversial things. Well, this is what some of them said about race. James Garfield wrote, I have a strong feeling of repugnance when I think of the Negro being made our political equal, and I would be so glad if they could be colonized, sent to heaven, or got rid of in any decent way. Theodore Roosevelt wrote that he had, quote, not been able to think out any solution to the terrible problem offered by the presence of the Negro on this continent. As for Indians, he said, quote, I don't go so far as to think that the only good Indians are the dead Indians, but I believe 9 out of 10 are, and I shouldn't inquire too closely into the health of the 10th. William Howard Taft once told a group of black college students, "Your race is adapted to be a race of farmers, first, last, and for all times." Warren Harding thought the races would always be separate. Quote, "This is not a question of social equality, but a question of recognizing a fundamental, eternal, inescapable difference." Harry Truman wrote, "I am strongly of the opinion that Negroes ought to be in Africa, yellow men in Asia, and white men in Europe and America." He also referred to the black servants in the White House as, quote, "an army of coons." Dwight Eisenhower told Supreme Court Justice Earl Warren he understood why Southerners wanted segregated schools. They didn't want, quote, "their sweet little girls to sit in schools alongside some big black box." He said that what he regretted most about his 8 years as president was sending federal troops to Little Rock, Arkansas to enforce school integration. It's not until John Kennedy, elected in 1960, that we have a president with views on race that just might be considered acceptable today. Because now, of course, we are supposed to think that race doesn't even exist. And even if it did, it would be immoral to base any decision on race. As I think I've made clear, this is a very recent way of thinking. From colonial times right up through the mid-20th century, virtually all white people believed race was an essential part of the American identity. They understood that people of different races are different and build different kinds of societies. They thought only Europeans would make the United States the kind of country that they would want to pass on to their children. So, there are two views. There is the consensus on race that lasted for more than 300 years, and there's today's view that races are perfectly equal and interchangeable, and that American can become black, Hispanic, Asian, Muslim, Hindu, anything at all. And not only will it be still America, it'll be better than ever.
Yes, we're still there, I know. I want you to listen to this, you know. Listen to this. Believe you me, these things is... a lot of people out there wonder where we get them things from, but it's true, we network large. People just send me things. Here we go, listen to this.
So let me take you back to 1971, and it was Reagan, who was, by the way, the governor of California at the time, was on the phone with then-President Richard Nixon. And so during this conversation, Reagan referred to leaders of African nations as, quote, monkeys, and then President Nixon gets in his own dig. Here you go.
And last night I tell you to watch that thing on television, that did. Yeah. To see those monkeys from those African countries. And they're still uncomfortable wearing shoes.
Well, and then the tail wags the dog there, doesn't it?
Yeah.
The tail wags the dog.
That's it. That's it. Reagan from the phone. Leaders of African countries are monkeys. That's Ronald Reagan, the same Reagan who sent helicopter and plane coming Africa come wipe out the ganja of Westmoreland. Yeah, with the aiding and abetting of the government of Jamaica. You think them easy, but we know them. We know them. Just like what the man just tell me about the different presidents who was slave owners and who was racist. And you hear black people all the while always talk about Lincoln this and Lincoln that. He was one of the racists too. Yes. The people that talk about Lincoln this and Lincoln that, the great emancipator and all them things. He was one of the racists. Here we go. Classic Jamaican reggae music. This is the Culture Nation FM. You know, so we're going to come forward here from 2 to 5:45, little more, with the Stepping Razor, the art of war. Matrix in the building. Yes, Matrix in the building. So, we're going to play the last song here. We're going to play the last song and gone left. Yeah, that song here. Don Carlos was the lead singer. Before there was Michael Rose, it was Don Carlos in the Black Euro group. You didn't know that? You didn't know about Dan Carlos, you know? You see, Matrix never know that, you know. Said Dan Carlos was in Black Euro.
That was like 70.
You'll have three of them, you know. Gatti, Dan Carlos, and the lead. You know what the lead? Which one me not call? You know, some of them are leaking out the telephone book. Oh, all right, you're right. That's okay. Because I'm ready for leaking out the telephone book, you know. All right, Dan Carlos, Ducky, and Gatti was Black Euro. You understand? Well, Dan Carlos was solo with a brother named Dan Carlos and Goal. Yes, Dan Carlos and Goal. It's a kind of